Okay, I have found a way to communicate with the universe that I couldn't find in any book, and it's from a spiritual shamanic teacher that you've probably never heard of, and she deserves to be known. And of course, I'm going to tell you how to connect with the universe and actually hear it. Okay, her name is Marti Spiegelman. The way I found her was through Ervin Laszlo. He wrote the book Science in the Akashic Field, which I'm obsessed with. Not only does she hold a Harvard degree for biochemistry, but she got an MA for graphic design at Yale. She's spoken at TED Berkeley. She got an award at Cambridge that had to do with consciousness. And most importantly, she's a shaman, and she's trained with many indigenous cultures. She's an initiated shaman, and she has this course where she talks about shamanic consciousness and precision consciousness and how to literally communicate using your consciousness with the universe, which I'm going to tell you all about. I'm going to do a couple videos about her, but this one is all about how do you attain shamanic consciousness. And it's very simple. There is one broad answer. And she goes into depth about this in her course. All you have to do is release, is let go. And let me explain what she says. For instance, here's one great comparison she brings up, or example. We all have problems. Let's say we're at point A. We're starting out in our life. We want to be a successful writer, which is point B. Replace this with anything you want at point B. So she says, using shamanic consciousness, what you would do is let go of this notion of, oh, let me follow this writer's path. It'll get me from point A to B. That will lead to stress, leading to making you think you have to do things one way. It's too logical, but it's the way the world usually works right now. And there's a reason this happens. Marti says the ego structure is designed to bond and hold on for dear life to get there. If you are forcing your ego, which you've developed, because you're probably not in shamanic consciousness all the time because of your trauma, if your ego is holding on for dear life, it's not going to want to leave point A, which is most of our problems. We have this weird tension and fear when we go for our dreams because our ego's clinging on to safety at point A. No, ego. But Marti says, hey, there's a way to almost hack your ego into shamanic consciousness. In shamanic consciousness, we would remember we have infinite choices to get from point A to B. And that those infinite choices, stay with me here, visualize this. Those infinite choices, that openness to living your life in your senses and your awareness, open to the possibilities and letting your soul guide you versus your logic, that creates a net, almost like an image of a safety net. Your ego will way more likely unattach to point A and shepherd you along in this net to point B to get to your dreams. Now listen, you might look crazy as shit doing it. There's this guy who looks totally normal, but he's probably panicked inside on this tightrope going to his dream, and he probably has to poo because he's uptight. And then there's this person who's plain, who probably looks like bonkers from the outside, very kid-like, shamanic consciousness for sure. But he's gonna get there with his soul intact. He's going to get there, period. He's gonna get there playfully with an open heart. And he's gonna have this life that is so fun because he's just living as he's getting there. Every day he's grateful, he's enjoying life. Obviously there's still ups and downs, but he's open to whatever comes. And he's in his integrity. And trust me, I know this, I'm sure you know this. When you're open to the possibilities, amazing things come your way. And you end up where you're supposed to be versus where you think you want to be, because we don't want to trust our own logic. If I ended up where I wanted to be at 18, God help me. This guy seems a lot more free, that's all I'm saying. So now with this net under you of infinite possibilities that your soul knows it can access, and this is very metaphysical, but I hope you're understanding. She does a way better of explaining in her course. With this net, you can and will get to point B from point A, and your ego will release. So your little ship can leave the harbor and sail where it's supposed to, in the ocean. Will never leave. Sorry, I froze. Your ego will never leave the harbor if it's scared and holding on for dear life. I'm just leaving my dang harbor. Some of the other things she says about shamanic consciousness that she teaches is once you access this, you're living a life where time almost disappears, and not in a weird, ungrounded way. It's in a way where you're in the flow state, where this day timer is no longer running your life. You're not a slave to time. You see everything in terms of a map. You listen more to your intuition, your senses. You take everything in, which she calls it relational consciousness. And then you use your other side, your reflective consciousness, to make informed decisions based on your senses. So logic comes second, not first. And I'll make a whole video about those two consciousness. Okay, for those of you who follow me or know anything about plasma intelligence, the reason her course spoke to me so much is because number one, shaman, which she talks about, means keeper of the fire. Plasma to me is the fire. It's the intelligence, it's the wisdom, it's the divine feminine knowledge. It's Hermes, the interdimensional traveler, speaking to gods and humans. The specific shamanic consciousness she speaks about are relational awareness, which comes through our senses, not our logic. This is how we communicate with plasma. Go watch my videos if you don't know about plasma intelligence. It's really cool. But either way, plasma, chi, the universe, energy, God, this is how we go back to our roots. And not only back to the indigenous times and how they use this magic, but she talks about how to create a new future, new archetypes, establishing something out of freshness, a relationship with ourselves and this universe, which is not only like it was, but also things we don't even know yet and will create because things evolve. I always talk about how consciousness and plasma are tools that we use as humans. She literally shares the same sentiment. Consciousness is not, and really quick, when I talk about consciousness and plasma, she'll talk about it as relational and reflective awareness, but we're talking about the same thing. So she says, consciousness is not an idea, an instruction, or a strategy. It is a fully interconnected, interactive, creative state of being that is achieved through the mastery of awareness, plasma, at the collective level. She sees consciousness having different levels, and there's different aspects which feed back off each other. Reflective, which feeds back off the relational. Reflective is logic. Relational is awareness and senses and the creative side. And you use both. Really quick Easter egg here. This will be in another post of mine that has to do with my ideas of wormholes. But the whole like point A and point B thing in a net, I think it's reflected in biology. I also think this is what wormholes are like in real life. But basically, to get from point A to B, yes, there's obviously a straight line, but there's also this net around you of all these possibilities that these things are going through. And as above, so below, there's a dang net. Marti's correct. So there is a link in my bio, in my Stan store, for her course, Precision Consciousness. I highly recommend it. I would not post about something I did not love. If you're metaphysical and spiritual, you'll be obsessed. This should be way more money than it is. I believe it's $295. She talks about shamanic technology, limitless consciousness, and how to use it. She talks about so much. I'm going to make other videos on this. 2 aspects of awareness. Consciousness is always evolving. Linking to intent and sourcing to primary actions. An introduction to organizing principles of consciousness. Developing sensory awareness. Like, you're learning shamanic magic. Developing sensory awareness, I said. More of that. Organizing principles of consciousness. The organizing principles of consciousness is so interesting. I'll talk about that in another video. And then this little bonus section. This is how to learn to use the technology of your body, of your soul. This is so important, and this is where I think we're all going as humans, is learning how to use ourselves as the tool, not things outside of ourselves, not technology or chemicals. It's our inner technology. This is what we need to expand to, guys. This is where we unlock everything, ourselves, the universe. I'm telling you, I'm predicting this is where we're going. But this is also just fun. Like, this makes life magic, literal magic, which is just another word in my mind for humanity. Once again, shout out Marti Spiegelman. I hope millions of people find out who you are in the coming years. I'm sure you've already impacted so many people. I love this course. I will make more videos on it. I'm obsessed. I started getting downloads from this course. It opened me up. This is authentic. This is beautiful. This is true. Thank you, Marti, for this course.